Professor Anderson, members of council, Da Vinci faculty, distinguished guests, families, and above all, the women and men who tonight wear the regalia of a Da Vinci doctorate. It is a particular privilege to stand before you this evening, not only as president of Da Vinci, but as a fellow traveler on a road that, if we are honest, none of us walk alone. Tonight is not in the end about the Institute. It is about you, celebrating you. It is about what now becomes possible and what now becomes required because of the 3 letters that will be added to your name. You will join a rare group of almost 250 individuals who are Da Vincian doctors. Let me just pause for a moment and tell you about the institution to which you now belong. In plain language, the institution will confer a doctorate on you, not because you do not know this institution, but in life generally. Sometimes we only really truly value and understand it the moment when we leave a place. Clarity emerges. Da Vinci is one of fewer than 5 private institutions, to my knowledge, in South Africa who can confer doctorates in terms of the Council of Higher Education. This is a regulated scarcity. It is the consequence of 21 years of unbroken work, of submissions written and rewritten, of programs built and defended, of standards held when it would have been easier to lower them. 21 years of making a difference across many fields. It is the consequence of a founding professor, Ben Anderson, who insisted against the gravitational pull of fashion and trend that knowledge produced in the workplace across disciplines in the service of real problems and real human beings is not a lesser form of knowledge. Indeed, it is in many ways the more difficult form required to solve real problems in the real world. It is the consequence of a faculty network that stretches across continents, supervisors who took your deep instinct, then barely formed, and held it up to the light until you yourself could see what it was you were trying to say. It is the consequence of about 250 others who walked this road before you, whose dissertations sit in the shelves of this institute as a quiet, accumulating library of African and global thought. This institution that has now placed its signature next to yours, understand what the signature is worth, not in commercial sense, the next job, the next opportunity. I have no interest in that tonight. But in a deeper sense, it is worth 20 years of refusing to take shortcuts. It is worth a Mode 2 commitment that says, knowledge is not the property of the academy alone. It is forged in the friction between theory and practice, between the seminar room and the boardroom, between the policy paper and the village clinic. That is the tradition you have now joined. What is this credential actually? What is a doctorate? Strip away the velvet, the procession, the photographs, all of which are wonderful and well-deserved. But what is a doctorate in essence? It is not, as some seem to believe, a certificate of cleverness. The world has no shortage of clever people. And in many of them have done a great deal of damage. It is not a passport to authority. There are no doors in the world which will swing open simply because the word doctor precedes your name. And if there were, I would be suspicious of those doors. A doctorate, properly understood, is three things. First, an attestation that when you have made an original contribution to a field of knowledge, that somewhere in the long architecture of human understanding, there is now a small but real addition that was not there before. And that this addition carries your name. It is, secondly, an attestation that you have been disciplined by the evidence, that you have allowed your assumptions to be tested, that you have learnt the harder craft, harder than producing answers, those of producing better questions. And it is, thirdly, an attestation that you have been changed, and that the person who began the dissertation is not the person who now finishes it. That the work shaped by you as much as you shaped the work. A Da Vincian doctorate adds a fourth thing. It attests that your contribution was made not in retreat from the world, but in the center of it. Your research did not happen in a sealed laboratory. It happened in the organization where you work, in the communities where you live, in the systems whose dysfunction you encountered every Monday morning. Mode 2 knowledge is knowledge that has skin in the game. That is its strength, and it is also its burden. What responsibility does this credential impose on you? Let me spend a few minutes sharing my thoughts. This is at the heart of what I want to share with you tonight at this presidential dinner, ahead of your graduation. A credential demands nothing of its holder, or a credential that demands nothing of its holder is not a credential, it is a decoration. And whatever else this evening is, it is not a coronation of decoration. Let me say this as plainly as I can. The four responsibilities I believe a Da Vincian doctorate imposes are as follows. The first is the responsibility to think well in public. In our country and the world, we have no shortage of opinion. It is short of considered, evidence-based, intellectually honest contribution to public conversation. We live in a moment where noise has been mistaken for argument, and certainty has been mistaken for thought. You have been trained to do better. You have been trained to hold complexity without collapsing it into a slogan. The training is not a private possession. It is a public good, and it must be deployed in public. When the next crisis comes, and it will, the temptation will be to remain silent because the issue is contested, or because the cost of speaking is high, as I have learned in my own endeavor. Resist that temptation. The whole point of the years you have just completed is that you are now equipped to speak when others cannot, to do so with discipline, with evidence, and with humility. The second is the responsibility to be of use. Mode 2 doctorates carry a particular obligation. You did not study the world from a distance. You studied it from inside the world. That means your work must return to the world. A dissertation that sits on a shelf is not, even though tradition, it is a half-finished dissertation. The other is the translation of your contribution into practice, into policy, into pedagogy, into product, into better run organizations, into a more thoughtful boardroom decision, into a community that has been seen rather than studied. Ask yourself this in the months ahead. Who, specifically, is better off because of what I know now? If you cannot answer that question within a year, the answer is probably no one, and that should disturb you. The third is the responsibility to mentor those who come after, to pay it forward. You're now part of a very small fraternity who can supervise, examine, and credibly hold the standard of a doctoral program. Whether or not you take up a formal academic role, you have the duty to the next cohort. You have a duty to the bright young person in your team who suspects that she might have something more to say. You have a duty to the part-time student who is exhausted at month end, at month 5, at month 12, at month 18, and wondering whether to walk away. Someone held the door open for you. The cost of admission to this fraternity is that you now hold the door open for someone else. And the fourth is the responsibility to protect the integrity of the credential itself. This is one of the most uncomfortable. I will say it directly. We live in an era of inflated qualifications, purchased qualifications, and qualification conferred for reasons that have nothing to do with scholarship. Every time a fake doctorate is paraded in our newspapers, every time a leader is exposed for having fabricated a credential, every time a private provider is found to have sold what cannot be sold, something is taken from every legitimate graduate in this country and in the world, including from you. Your responsibility is to never, by your conduct, by your shortcuts, by your tolerance of others' shortcuts, to contribute to the erosion of what this credential means. Protect it. The standard is not enforced by the Council on Higher Education alone. It is enforced in the end by you, the holder of the credential, by how you carry yourself, by what you refuse to do, and by what you insist upon. Let me move towards a larger calling and close with the following. About this moment that you will graduate, you have not entered the academy at an ordinary time. You have entered it at a moment when the very nature of knowledge, of work, and of human judgment is being configured by forces, artificial intelligence, chief among them, that we do not yet fully understand. It would be easy in such a moment to despair, to conclude that doctoral work is quaint inheritance from a slower age. I want to put to you the opposite proposition. Precisely because machines can now generate fluent text, the world will need humans who can think rigorously. Precisely because algorithms can now optimize within a frame, the world will need humans who can question the frame. Precisely because synthetic intelligence is abundant, scholarly judgment will become rare, and rarity in any economy is what creates value. This is the moment your training was made for, not the moment before it. This moment, Africa in particular, needs you. Our continent will not be developed by importing other people's frameworks and applying them, slightly modified, to our own context. That experiment has been tried and has failed. Our continent will be developed by Africans who have done it the slow, patient work of producing knowledge in and for African conditions. knowledge that respects our complexity, our pluralism, our particular history, and our distinct possibilities. You are part of that generation, the first generation in some real sense to be trained at scale in Africa under a Mode 2 model, with a credential to be taken seriously in any room you walk in, anywhere in the world. Do not waste it. Do not underutilize it. Do not let it become a line on a business card. 20 years ago, a small group of people in this country decided that a different kind of doctorate is possible. They were told repeatedly that they were attempting something that could not be done at private institutional scale. Professor Ben will tell you about the disbelievers. They were told that the institution would not accept it. They were told that the corporate world would not respect it. They were wrong on every count. Tonight in this room is the proof. 252 reasons that the founders were right and the skeptics were wrong. It is now your generation's task to ensure that 20 years from now, someone stands at a podium like this one and is able to say the same thing about you. The credential you will earn and be recognized for tomorrow is real. The institution that conferred it is real. And the lineage that you now join is real. It is up to you to ensure that your contribution to make this world a better place is real. Congratulations, and carry this name well. Thank you.